are on solving and graphing one variable linear inequalities. Solve each inequality and graph its solution. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is solve the inequality. And we have to rewrite it in order to do that because the graph they provide is right beneath the inequality. So first step is to just rewrite it. 4 plus x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, so to solve this, we just treat this like an equal sign. And if we multiply or divide by a negative number, we flip the sign, okay? But we're not going to do that in this problem because we're just going to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, and that gets rid of the 4's over here on the left. And now I just have x is greater than or equal to negative 2 plus negative 4, which is negative 6. And so what I need to do to graph it, x is greater than or equal to negative 6. So go find negative 6. Greater than or equal to means a filled in circle. And it's greater than, so it's every single number to the right of negative 6. So remember what I told you, I'd really like it if you would draw your arrow just above the line. That's why, and the reason is so I can still see the line beneath it, okay? But it's every number greater than or equal to negative 6, and we're going to put an arrow on there to indicate that that goes on forever. And you want to box this up as well so that you show that you solved and graphed. And that's number 1. Moving on to number 2. So here we have something where we are, I can see already we're going to divide by a negative, so we'll have to flip the sign, but we have 80 is less than negative 4n. And if we divide both sides by negative 4, we can get n by itself. And 80 divided by negative 4 is negative 20. We flip the sign. So now it's greater than. And n is by itself because we canceled out these negative 4's. So now I need to find negative 20. And the greater than symbol is an open circle. And so n, now read this, you have to read this very carefully, okay? Warning. Negative 20 is greater than n, okay? So read it from right to left. N is less than negative 20. In fact, you could rewrite this. So this is equivalent to saying n is less than negative 20. All right, so we want an open circle on n, and n is every number less than negative 20. Okay, so you have to read. On this one, you would have to read from right to left. It's a little confusing at first, but you can get it. So we'll put an open circle on negative 20. I'm going to make a huge open circle, so my teacher knows what I meant. And then just above the number line, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line and put an arrow. And that's number 2. And so we want to box this up. All right, so moving on to number 3. Well, number 3 presents a challenge to us because we have fractions, but no matter. They have common denominators, so it shouldn't be such a big deal. Let's rewrite it to begin with. We have 3/5 plus x is greater than or equal to negative 72 over 5. Okay, so the first thing to do is to subtract 3/5 from both sides. And we'll do that over here as well. On the left, that cancels out the 3/5, and we just have x is greater than or equal to, and we're adding 2 negative numbers here, so 72 plus 3 is 75. I got 75, negative 75 fifths. Okay, well, we know that that's 75 divided by 5 is going to be a whole number. So let's see what that whole number is. We have x is greater than or equal to, and then 5 goes into 7, so it's going to be a negative number. 5 goes into 7 once, leaving behind 2. So 25, 5 goes into 25 5 times. So this is going to be 15, negative 15. So x is greater than or equal to negative 15. Okay, so we're going to go, this is going to be a filled in circle, and x is going to be greater than or equal to negative 15, which means it's going to be a filled in circle going off to the right. Filled in circle at negative 15. I have to interpolate between these two numbers, or rather, sorry, these two numbers. And so here's going to be my filled in circle at negative 15. And the arrow is going to go off to the right. And we're going to put an arrowhead on the end of it. And that's how you do number 3. X is greater than or equal to negative 15. All right, looking here at number 4, interesting situation. We have negative 1 over 9 is greater than n over 18. Okay, so make sure you rewrite it. And now my advice is to do this. If you're not comfortable with what to do next, rewrite this like this. You got negative 1/9 is greater than, and then write n by itself, okay, multiplied by 1 over 18. And now that might help tell you what to do. You need to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of the coefficient of the variable n. Well, 1/18 is the reciprocal. 1/18 is the coefficient, so 18 over 1 is what you need to multiply by both sides. It's kind of like KFC. This is one of the harder things to teach students. something you just got to do a lot before you feel comfortable. And the cool thing is over here, look, I can cancel, 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 leaving n by itself. I did not multiply or divide by a negative, so this is still the same symbol, but I am reading right to left, so be careful. Now notice here, before you start multiplying, 18, 9, okay, diagonally. I can cancel the 18 and the 9, dividing both by 9. This gives 2, and this gives 1. Makes life a lot easier. So now 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And it's just over 1, so you can just write negative 2. So now I have negative 2 is greater than n, or I would prefer to write it n is less than negative 2. So, it's the same thing. They're both identical. But reading right to left is not something we do in English. You do it in Hebrew, you do it in Arabic, but you don't do it in English. We read from left to right. So you can just look at, if you notice, these two are just mirrors of one another, okay? Just like a mirror. So it's perfectly fine to rewrite it like this. Just make sure you know what you're doing, all right? So n is less than negative 2, n is less than negative 2. I didn't change anything. So what I'm going to do is put an open circle on negative 2 and go to the left. So here's negative 2, open circle. Okay, and then I'm going to go off to the left. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to box this up. All right, and that's number 4. We're ready to flip the page. Okay, now on the back, they didn't give you the graph. You have to solve it and graph it. That's why you need a straight edge. Okay, so first let's solve this. You know me, I'm going to rewrite it. M plus 1 all over 10 is less than or equal to 1. Okay? All right, now, if this is not comfortable yet, remember you can group, you're really the master of your own destiny here. So I'm going to group the m plus 1, and I'm going to rip apart this fraction. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say m plus 1, just sitting off by itself, multiplied by 1/10 is less than or equal to 1. Okay? Now this should help you figure out what to do next. So if you want to divide both sides by 1/10, you need to multiply both sides by 10 over 1. So you need to multiply by 10 over 1 on both sides. Okay? So that's just 10 on the right. Nothing happens to m plus 1. We just have m plus 1. We can drop the parentheses because we cancel all that junk. And now we've got this less than or equal to 1 times 10, big brain time, is just 10. And now look, our life is very simple. We just do a little subtraction, subtract 1 on both sides. And we have m is less than or equal to 9. Okay, so that's our inequality solved. And now for the graphing. You don't have to be, this doesn't have to be an art project, but just draw a number line. Okay. This is how simple this can be, guys. And you can put a 9 right here. All right. This is how simple it can be. And what I usually do is I write negative infinity over here and positive infinity over here, and put a closed-in circle there on 9, and then draw my arrow to the left since it's less than or equal to. And you're done. So very simple number line that you draw. Okay. All right. Moving on to number 6. Number 6. Okay, first let's solve the sucker. We got 3 is less than or equal to x plus 10 over 2. Okay, fair enough. So what I'm going to do is do what I did before. I'm going to group the x plus 10 and tear the fraction apart and say 3 is less than or equal to x plus 10 in parentheses times 1 over 2. It's the same thing, okay? You're able to just tear the fraction apart like that. Now it's really clear what to do. You're going to multiply by 2 over 1 on both sides. So you're going to multiply by 2 over 1. And then over here you can just multiply by 2. So I got 2 times 3, that's 6. Is less than or equal to x plus 10. And of course, all this junk cancels out. That's the whole point of doing it. And now I just subtract 10 from both sides. And that cancels out the 10s. I get x by itself. 6 minus 10 is negative 4. Okay? It's like saying 10 minus 6 is 4, but put a negative sign. So remember, we're reading backwards here, so be careful. I've got negative 4 less than or equal to x, or x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay. I prefer this way of reading it, but you can read it backwards. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. But I like reading it left to right. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. Again, very simple number line. It's going to be a filled-in circle headed off to the right. And we'll just put negative 4 here. And I can put negative infinity over here and positive infinity over here. And what I need is I need a filled-in circle and head it off to the right. Okay, to show that greater than. Okay, so let's box up this answer. And we're ready to move on to number 7. Okay. So we have, let's write it all out. See what I'm going to do already, I'm sure. 6 plus v over 4 is greater than or equal to 1. Now I'm going to try something here to see if you guys catch. Hopefully you've caught on. I'm just going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay, that's what that whole ripping apart the fraction does anyway. And on the left, I cancel the 4's, and then I just have 6 plus v greater than or equal to 1 times 4 is 4. And I'm just going to subtract 6 now. And I have v greater than or equal to 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Okay, so I need to draw a number line. We're going to make this our simple number line. So v is greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed in going off to the right. And we'll just put negative 2 right here. Negative infinity to the left, positive infinity to the right. And we have a closed in circle headed off to the right forever. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and box this guy up. All right, moving on to number 8. Same basic situation, ladies and gentlemen. We have x minus 7 over 15, okay, is greater than negative 1. And I can just multiply both sides by 15. That cancels out this denominator, leaving behind x minus 7 is greater than negative 15. Okay, so now we just add 7 to both sides to get x by itself. And we have x is greater, and then we need to do some subtraction here, with the result being negative. And that's going to be negative 8. Okay, so x is greater than negative 8. So we're going to have an open circle at negative 8. Negative infinity, positive infinity. I'm going to have an open circle at negative 8. And I'm greater than, so I'm going to the right forever. Okay? All right, moving on to number 9. Now I notice right away I'm going to end up dividing by a negative, so be careful, you're going to flip this sign. So first let's write it out. We got 9 minus 6n is greater than negative 33. Okay, let's peel the onion. So first we'll subtract 9 from both sides. Cancels out those 9s. Now I got negative 6n is greater than, now you're adding 2 negative numbers, so that's going to be negative 42. And now you're going to divide by a negative, which means you got to flip the sign. So n is now less than, negative 42 divided by negative 6 is positive 7. Okay, so n is less than, so open circle at 7 going to the left. Number 1. Okay, There's 7. And I've got an open circle at 7 going off to the left. And I should put my negative infinity to positive infinity right there. Okay? And finally, number 10. All right, here we go. Last one. We have negative 27 greater than or equal to 9n minus 9. You can tell already that we're going to end up having this reading right to left situation going on. Just keep that in mind so you don't make any mistakes. All right, so what we're going to end up with, cancel those 9s out. What we're going to end up with over here is minus 18, or negative 18, is greater than or equal to 9n. Divide both sides by 9. And the 9s cancel on the right, leaving n by itself. N is less than, or I'm reading from right to left now, n is less than or equal to negative 2. 18 divided by 9, but it's negative, so negative 2. But I'm going to say or n is less than negative 2. Okay, so I like to read it that way. I'm going to draw my number line now. And I'm going to have at negative 2 an open circle going to the left. Okay, so this is negative infinity, positive infinity, open circle at negative 2, going off to the left, and we'll put our answer in a box, which we did not do on number 9. And we did not do on number 8. Got to put the answer in a box, okay? All right, everything's boxed up now. We have reached the end of the assignment. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something.